they are circumcised or cut at the age of 18, 17. Women must gain their personhood. Women must gain identity.
Hello everyone, this is Rael, and today we will talk about Bogaletch Gebre. In honor of International Women's Day on March 8th, we focus on the incredible life of Bogaletch Gebre, also known as Boge, a prominent Ethiopian women's rights activist born in the Kambaata region in southern Ethiopia. She dedicated her activism to combating female genital mutilation, achieving tremendous results in abolishing this practice. Personally, I was not familiar with this huge issue because I was lucky enough to be born and raised in a country where female genital mutilation is not common practice. So the first time I learned about it was when I watched the movie Desert Flower from 2009, which was based on the autobiography of a Somali-born model, Waris Dirie. It was gut-wrenching and I highly recommend it. I recommend you give it a watch if you haven't yet. Quote, "Freedom means everything. Without freedom, you can't think. I should be grateful to my mother. She's my mentor. She's my hero. She wanted better for her daughters. She imagined better things for her daughters. So she allowed us to sneak out, to go to school. We sneaked out to go to school. We were not allowed to go to school. So I owe my freedom to her." End quote. Boge secretly attended school, later on was given a scholarship to attend university in Israel, where she got her bachelor's degree, and then moved to the USA, where she got her master's degree, and finally her PhD in epidemiology. Years later, she went back to Ethiopia and started her activism. Bogaletch Gebre's journey was fueled by a specific cause, mainly the fight against female genital mutilation, a practice deeply entrenched in her community. Let's explore her life, struggles, and achievements in the battle against FGM. Quote, "Rage and anger about the loss of my sister, my older sister, who was just 2 years older than I, who died as a result of this, and my other sisters, who later died as a result of infection. The rage started coming up, and luckily for me, I turned that rage and that anger into energy, and I decided to say to myself, if I can save one girl, that's all what I wanted to do really, truly." End quote. Motivated by the experiences of girls in her community, Bogaletch became an activist at a young age. She witnessed the physical and emotional toll that FGM took on countless lives, compelling her to take a stand. Boge's impactful work against FGM garnered her numerous accolades, and for her fight, she was given several awards. But her work started from the communities, from the local community. She really started small in the Kambaata region, making sure that both men and women took part in this conversation, in this huge change in the society. To address the root cause of female genital mutilation, Bogaletch founded KMG Ethiopia, a non-profit organization that envisages a society where women are free from all forms of discrimination and violence, and able to attain justice and equality for themselves, their families, and their communities. This is basically the agenda of KMG, and you can find all the information on their website. The organization implemented educational programs, community outreach, and awareness campaigns to challenge the cultural norms surrounding this harmful practice.
All of them are circumcised, but they have not circumcised.
the rate of female genital mutilation in the areas where KMG operated decreased from nearly 100% in 1999 to less than 3% in 2008. Her work was not only about female genital mutilation. As I said, she was a women's rights activist. And once the discussion was open on FGM, they were also able to establish social sanctions on child marriage, bride abduction, polygamy, widow inheritance, and domestic violence. Quote, things like female genital mutilation, which is equal to castration, why did they survive? Why? Why didn't we stop? It is killing us. Do you think if what is happening to female did happen to male, do you think the world would keep quiet? I don't think so. The world would not keep quiet. End quote. During my fieldwork last October, I was lucky enough to be in the exact city where this KMG center was founded, in Durame, Kambaata region, Ethiopia. And it was a bit accidental because I was simply looking for trees and nature to take pictures of. And when I was asking people around, especially my colleagues there, where should I go, they suggested to visit this KMG center. And despite being closed at the time, so there were no activities, we were allowed to get in and simply walk around, precisely because I was just looking for the trees. And that's when I found out about Bogaletch Gebre. And so this is the monument that I saw in the center of this area that celebrates the life of Boge, who truly changed the lives of women in her community. You can look at KMG Ethiopia's website for initiatives, and there are several documentaries and interviews online that you can look at. I will link some down below, which are the ones I got some of the clips from. But you can really witness the impact of her tireless effort, hers and those who followed her. In her journey, Bogaletch faced incredible challenges, including resistance to change and cultural barriers. But despite these obstacles, she persevered, driven by the urgent need to protect girls from the harmful effects of FGM. The change started as a conversation with men and women who learned about their own bodies, how we are made as human beings, and knowledge is power. And so as soon as women knew what they were doing to their own bodies and why they were suffering,
educating people through the health effect of female genital mutilation, which they already know, except they didn't connect.
How their bodies were supposed to look like instead, and how married life should look like, and that giving birth shouldn't be that painful, or that you shouldn't be forced to undergo C-section because you cannot give birth naturally anymore, precisely because of FGM. Once the mothers learned about their own bodies and how painful and harmful this practice was and how useless it was, there was no point, no reason behind it. That's also the knowledge that they were given having these conversations at the beginning, meaning that if the mothers are informed and are aware that that's not just part of the culture somehow, and that you must respect it without any reason, and Boge, in a speech that I will link below, explains that one of the many reasons behind this practice was excused by religion. And as it usually happens, unfortunately, when you misinterpret something that it's so powerful and it affects so many lives, such as religion, you can really play around with dangerous words. And so behind female genital mutilation, there was this excuse, but nowhere in the Bible you read that women need to undergo this kind of torture. So she explains this in this speech as well. Once the mothers were informed, they were able to prepare their own daughters for a safer life.
Have experienced the horror, but today their daughters are free.
Nowadays, it's more and more common for women to celebrate the fact that they are uncut, as they say. So there is also this terminology issue, let's say, in which there are three main terms that were used or have been used to define this issue. So one is mutilation, as I said. One is cut, so being cut and cutting. And the former one was circumcision. So you first heard about it as circumcision, similarly to the practice done on men, except, as Boge explains in her speech, women are mutilated instead. It's not just the cut of the skin that doesn't really affect you too much, and it doesn't cause excruciatingly painful life. Sexual life, married life, giving birth and being a mother, it's excruciatingly painful. And you are mutilated instead. And so women who were mutilated feel as if they were not fully persons. Bogaletch said that the real issue here is personhood.
Women must gain their personhood. Women must gain identity.
In which women don't feel like they are full human beings because they are not treated like full human beings. They are not given the same chances. They have different laws, and even when there are laws which should protect them, these laws are either not reinforced or they are just words on paper and nobody really cares about the real meaning behind those words. And the third term, cutting, has been used more recently because some of the women who have been affected by this said, but if you say mutilation, it feels as if we have done something to our daughters, as if we are guilty or something. So it felt a bit too strong, and which is why often when you even see the activities and the initiatives by KMG Ethiopia, you can see both terms, so both mutilation and cutting. But this doesn't mean that even when you use cutting, it doesn't mean that it's not a criminal practice, because it is. The issue here, and the issue that Boge focused on, is this, that women simply needed to be informed. And that's what she did in her own life. So Boge first studied, and with her own knowledge of the human body and with her own scientific knowledge, she could finally prove to all these people, using appropriate terms, using a specific way of communicating, that it's just possible when you are part of the community and you know the language. And that's how she started, from the communities, giving them this information and discussing with them, discussing with both men and women. Because the whole society protected this practice for years and years. Change starts from the family, from the mother, and then it affects the entire society, the entire community.
started linking ecological problem, economic problem, social problem.
Once Boge realized that you cannot change the mindset of a specific society without changing the environment too, she started programs to help, for instance, build bridges, wells, and even planting trees. Boge realized that you really have to talk about the daily life instead of talking about abstracts when it comes to these huge changes in society.
Meaning issues that affect communities in daily life.
One of the main tasks that women had was to go and fetch the water, which is what she did as a child as well. And if you give people access to water, closer access to water, you give them better chances as well. You give them more time to spare to do something else. How can you be concerned about abstract issues or social issues when you don't even have water? Or when you are worried about your own survival, everything else is not as important. As we honor International Women's Day, let's remember Bogaletch Gebre's legacy. Her dedication to eradicating FGM serves as an inspiration to activists worldwide, to women in general, proving that one person can catalyze meaningful change. Her work affected education. They built mother and child health center. They set up a school. And later on, the Ethiopian government, took her advice and used it in their own programs, educational programs.
The community health workers program was adapted from us. From our program.
Did you know about Bogaletch Gebre? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Bogaletch Gebre, her life, her work. And if you found this video in any way enlightening, please like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.